Flight control surfaces panel set. Tail switch normal, wing switch normal. Heading reference switch normal. Primary flight computer's disconnect switch, guard closed, verify that the disk light is extinguished. Electrical panel set. Battery switch on, verify that the off light is extinguished. IFE pass seats power switch on, verify that the off light is extinguished. Cabin utility power switch on, verify that the off light is extinguished. APU generator switch is on, verify that the off lights are extinguished. Generator control switch is on, verify that the off lights are illuminated, verify that the drive lights are illuminated. APU selector as needed, start, then on. Verify that the fault light is extinguished. Left HUD brightness control in, left wiper selector off, towing power panel lights off. Flight deck door power switch on. CCR reset switches guards closed, emergency light switch guards closed, service interphone switch off. Passenger oxygen on light, verify extinguished. Window heat panel set. Backup window heat switch is on, primary window heat switch is on, verify that the in-op lights are extinguished. Ram air turbine unlocked light, verify extinguished. Hydraulic panel set. Left and right engine primary pump switch is on, verify that the fault lights are illuminated. Centre 1 and Centre 2 electric pump selectors off, verify that the fault lights are illuminated. Left and right electric demand pump selectors off, verify that the fault lights are illuminated. Seatbelt selector set. Lighting panel set. Overhead panel light control mid position, master brightness switch on, master brightness control as needed. Glare shield panel light control mid position, landing light switches off. Ground test selector normal. APU fire panel set. Verify that the APU bottle discharge light is extinguished. APU fire switch in, verify that the APU fire warning light is extinguished. Cargo fire panel set. Cargo fire arm switches off. Verify that the forward and aft fire warning lights are extinguished. Verify that the cargo fire disc light is extinguished. Engine panel set. EC mode switch is normal. Start selectors normal. Fuel jettison panel set. Fuel jettison nozzle switch is off. Verify that the valve lights are extinguished. Fuel to remain selector in. Fuel jettison arm switch off. Verify that the fault light is extinguished. Fuel panel set. Crossfeed switch off. Verify that the valve light is extinguished. Fuel pump switch is off. Verify that the left aft pump pressure light is extinguished if the APU is on or is illuminated if the APU is off. Verify that the other left and right pump pressure lights are illuminated. Verify that the centre pump pressure lights are extinguished. Fuel balance switch off. Verify that the on light and fault light are extinguished. Anti-ice panel set. Wing anti-ice selector auto, engine anti-ice selectors auto. Lighting panel set. Beacon light switch off. Navigation light switch as needed. Logo light switch as needed. Wing light switch as needed. Indicator light switch as needed. Runway turn off light switch is off. Taxi light switch off. Strobe light switch off. ELT switch guard closed. Humidification switch on. Forward cargo air conditioning control panel as needed. Forward cargo flow connector as needed. Forward cargo air conditioning control as needed. Bulk cargo temperature switch auto. If in auto, verify that the off light is extinguished. Air conditioning panel set. Equipment cooling switch is auto. Verify that the override lights are extinguished. Recirculation fan switch is on. Flight deck temperature control mid-position, cabin temperature control mid-position. Pack switch is auto, verify that the off lights are extinguished if the APU is running. Trim air switch is on, verify that the fault lights are extinguished. Ventilation switch normal, verify that the alternate light is extinguished. Pressurization panel set. Outflow valve switch is auto, verify that the man lights are extinguished. Landing altitude selector in. Right wiper selector off. Right HUD brightness control in. Flight director switch on. Display select panel set. EFIS control panel set. Minimum reference selector, radio or baro. Minimum selector, set decision height or altitude reference. Flight path vector switch as needed. Meter switch as needed. Barometric reference selector, inches or hectopascals. Barometric selector, set local altimeter setting. ND mode selector, select map. ND mode select switch, push. Menu select. Map selections as needed. ND center switch as needed. ND range selector, half, 1, 2 or 5 displays airport map. ND weather radar switch off. Verify that the weather radar indications are not shown on the ND or PFD minimap. ND traffic and terrain switches as needed. Oxygen test and set. Forward panel brightness control mid-position. Inboard and outboard display brightness mid-position. Air data attitude source selector auto. PFD MFD selector normal. Do the initial data and navigation data steps from the CDU-EFB pre-flight procedure and verify that the IRS alignment is complete before checking the flight instruments. Flight instruments check. Verify that flight instrument indications are correct. Verify that only these flags are shown. TCAS off. No V-speed until takeoff V-speeds are selected. Verify that the flight mode enunciations are correct. Auto throttle mode is blank. Roll mode is toga or hood toga. Pitch mode is toga. AFTS status is flight director. Select the map mode. Landing gear panel set. Landing gear lever down. Alternate gear switch guard closed. Auto brake selector RTO. ICAS display check. Secondary engine indications display. Verify that the engine indications show existing conditions. Verify that no exceedance is shown. MFD check. Select the status display. Status messages check. Checklist display switch push. Resets select and verify that the airline database is correct. Reset all select. Left tuning and control panel set. Verify that the off light is extinguished. Observer's audio control panel as needed. Flight deck door access selector auto. Engine fire panel set. Verify that the engine bottle 1 discharge and engine bottle 2 discharge lights are extinguished. Engine fire switches in. Verify that the left and right fire warning lights are extinguished. Glide slope inhibit switch. Below glide slope light extinguished. Transponder mode selector standby. Oral cancel light extinguished. Center tuning and control panel set. Verify that the off light is extinguished. Flight deck printer set. Verify that the fail and paper lights are extinguished. Verify that the printer power is on. Right tuning and control panel set. Verify that the off light is extinguished. VHF select. Right VHF set. HF select. Right HF set. Weather radar select. Gain and mode as needed. Weather radar system left or right. Select weather radar system page 2. Select L with an odd number flight or right with an even number flight. Transponder select. First officer TCAS display as needed. First officer TCAS alt as needed. VHF select. First officer's audio control panel as needed. Floor light switch as needed. Evacuation command switch guard closed. Observer audio selector normal. Aisle stand panel light control mid-position. Aisle stand floodlight control mid-position. Seat adjust. Adjust the seat for optimum eye reference. Rudder pedals adjust. Adjust the rudder pedals to allow full rudder pedal and brake pedal movement. Stow the rudder pedal, adjust crank. HUD combiner down. HUD brightness control adjust. Seatbelt and shoulder harness adjust. Do the pre-flight checklist on the captain's command.